Hello and welcome to the Sanctuary, a safe space to speak from the heart. I'm your host, Israel, and my guest today is the champion mommy themselves, Lindsay Stewart, the owner of Variety Concert. Thanks so much for coming to the Sanctuary today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Israel. It's a total pleasure.
So, let's start with Variety Concert. How did that come about? And, so you upcycle paper goods, and
hmm
how did that start?
well, I mean, honestly, it came from my initial love for mail art, essentially sending art through the mail to friends, loved ones, and sometimes strangers. Um, uh, Collage is a pretty popular medium in that world, and that's kind of how I fell in love with collecting little bits of paper and repurposing them, putting them together, and hopefully other people like it too. So yeah, it all came from mail art when I was really really young.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he stuck with you. So, like, did you do any art training at all?
Kind of. I went to. It depends on what your term of art training really means. I did go to art school, so I went to NASCAD for. Yeah, I went for the first foundation year, and then from then on, I kind of just dabbled in little things that I was really interested in. Some summer courses that are usually a little weird there, but I did go to art school.
And how was that experience?
Uh, I really enjoyed going to NASCAD for a lot of different reasons. It really helped me meet people who were interested in the same thing that I was doing. It helped me meet people who were really interested in organizing, and I made a really great community at NASCAD, and I got to produce a lot of work that I never would have done if I didn't go to NASCAD.
What are some of
Um,
these works?
I think it just made me be more productive and think a little bit more outside of the box. I started getting into large scale collages. I started getting into producing my own paper for those large collages. So I really was thinking outside of the box with in terms of simple size of a project, but also what kind of materials I was using.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it also made me think kind of smaller scale. And I took a class called Tactile Notebook and the Written Word with Sandra. I never actually read the description of the course. I signed up because of the name of the course because it was so weird and interesting. But that really focused on that specific class really focused on kind of combining journaling with your art practice and maybe thinking a little bit more introspectively in terms of what we consider art to yourself,
Mm.
yeah. So I took a lot of weird courses. I took one called soft sculpture that was really cool. It focused on the art of uh, weaving, embroidery, sewing, stuff like that, in order to make three-dimensional pieces.
Oh.
Yeah, I learned a lot, even though I didn't finish school. I never got a piece of paper at the end or anything. I'm really thankful for the community and the social bonds that I made at that school.
Mm. And
Yeah,
I'm guessing you still have some of those friends still today.
absolutely. Yes, I do. Yeah, yeah. Even though it was probably 15, 16, 17 years ago that I did that.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you're like, okay, done with, well, finished with taking these courses in NASCAR, what was your next foray into art?
Next foray into art. I mean, I have been making art for most of my life, whether I'm going to art school or working at a more corporate job. once I got out of that, yeah, I did a lot of retail. I did a lot of clothing retail. I worked for a large company doing visual merchandising. Traveled a lot with that, opened stores.
So visual merchandising is what?
Visual merchandising essentially is in a retail space. When you walk into a store, it's everything that you see. It can be as simple as what the mannequins are wearing, but it can be
Ah.
how the where the lights are directed in the store, where the color stories of certain vibes of clothing fall within the store. It's rotation. It's setting up signs. It's everything you see.
Oh. So
Mm-hmm.
like how long I guess when you go to a store that's already designed or whatever, how long will it take you to like come up with your own designs, draw it out or whatever you do and then actually set it up?
It depends on how big the job is. Now, if I was working in the women's department, which is probably the biggest department in the store, it could take a full 8 hour shift to complete the main women's section. I'm not talking about basics. I'm not talking about business wear, denim, anything like that. Just kind of the main fashion section.
God
Um,
damn it. That's a
it
lot of
takes
work.
a long time, yes, and it's very laborious. It's heavy work. It's dirty. It's sweaty.
Do you
But
like work with a team or is it all just you?
yeah, no. Usually the space that I worked at, you would work with a team, and everyone would kind of switch around depending on what departments had deadlines coming up, or which were, or if departments were just ugly, to say it simply. so. So yeah, we would all rotate within a store, but again, it really depends on the size of the store too. If I was in a smaller store, it could have been just me. Yeah.
So how does
But
one get? Yeah, go on.
no, go ahead. Well, I'm just saying that even though it's sweaty, it's hard work. It really did also tie in to my artistic background.
Mm,
It's finding things that are visually pleasing to the eye.
mm. Yeah, but
hmm
how does one get to become a visual merchandiser?
Uh, I applied. I had a lot of other retail and management in my background, even though I was pretty young when I was probably mid 20s when I started at that place. I still had quite a bit of uh, retail and management background behind me.
Mm, mm.
So yeah, I applied and I got the job.
Nice. How long
Yeah,
did you do that for?
on and off, probably over 10 years or so.
On and off.
Um,
Why?
Well, I took a couple breaks. So I did. I worked for that company for a while, but then I wanted to open up a store with one of my best friends, Emily Ross. So we opened up Big Pony, which was our small business for about 4 years. So that's what I mean by on and off.
Mm. So
Yeah.
let's talk about Big Pony. How did that come about? Why did you decide to set it up?
Big Pony was like a labor of love. I've always wanted my own retail space where I could organize it myself and do whatever I wanted without rules, which I had a lot of
Mm,
at the bigger store. And I also wanted to help support a lot of those people that I met in art school, and through those people in art school,
mm,
Halifax has a big, beautiful, bustling community of makers and artists who are making really cool stuff. It's different, it's local, it's people I know. So that's why Emily and I wanted to do it.
mm.
Um, yeah, we just wanted to have free reign over a space, honestly, and support our friends and people within the community.
Mm. And
Yeah.
what was the process of setting that up?
What did we do first? We brainstormed some names. We saved a little bit of money. we started looking at retail spaces, commercial spaces. We originally had a location on Brenton Street downtown off of Spring Garden. It was a basement space. We definitely set it up. We were feeling life. We set it up. It very drastically changed within the first 4 years, and I think back to that first store that we had in the basement on Brenton Street, and it just completely became a different beast.
Wow.
Yeah. But we were very spontaneous about it. You know, we had the idea, and I think it was like 2 or 3 months later, and we were opening.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so what all your focus now was on Big Pony, and you were done with the visual merchandising. Well, you were still doing the visual merchandising, but for
Exactly.
yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You know, a lot of the things that I learned at that place became very useful and lucrative within my own personal business with Emily. You know, it's a lot of common sense.
Mm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and then you ran Big Pony for 4 years. How were the 4 years of Big Pony?
It was a roller coaster. There were a lot of high highs and there was a lot of low lows. It's, you know, I don't want to sugarcoat it for anyone. Owning a small business is very difficult. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of steadfastness, and it's just hard work. You become your business. So yeah, so we opened up on Brenton Street originally. We sold mostly secondhand clothes, but we started. We organized a Christmas market one year, a Christmas pop-up that would be in the shop for a month of local artists. It was very popular. It went over really well. We loved the way the items looked in the store. So from there on out, we started welcoming more local artists into the store. And yeah, so that was the first shop. Then we closed that location down and moved to Gottingen Street, which was probably, you know, closer to a lot more people that we knew. It was busier. It had a storefront. It had a window. And that's really where we, by the end of it, it was mostly half local artists, half secondhand clothing.
Oh, nice, nice. How how did the artist community receive Big Pony? How receptive was the artist community of Big Pony?
Oh, it was awesome. Most of the people that we started selling with, we knew personally, you know, on a personal level. So it was very well receptive. We really tried to focus on giving opportunities to maybe younger or less experienced artists as well, in hopes that it could be a good launching pad or a great way to start off. We organized a lot of pop-ups with Pop Explosion, or we also really enjoyed doing pop-ups in local bars. We love the idea of being able to sip on a beer while you look at local art, have a good time with your friends. It's also encouraging of the community feel. You know, you can come with your friends, you can have an afternoon. So in that sense, I think it was really successful, honestly.
And then with Big Pony though, how's it, you know, running a business with a friend or with a partner?
Running a business with a friend is it was the same. Sometimes it was really great, and sometimes it was really difficult. You know, we really did rely on each other for a lot of. I mean, just venting and getting it out. You know, I definitely had certain troubles with separating myself from my business. It was difficult to say the least. You know, I think we both definitely felt like we were working 24 hours a day. You know, it never turned off. And it was always go, go, go. So in that sense, we were able to be there for each other when things weren't so great. We were also able to be there for each other to celebrate the wins. She was my closest person. We really were there for each other through thick and thin.
So yeah, you said you ran it for 4 years, right?
Yeah.
And then what led to the decision to close Big Pony?
What led to the closing of Big Pony was probably my coworker, my ex Big Pony partner. I now live with. She's actually just in the corner here, kind of listening to my answers. It's pretty funny, but what led to the demise? I mean, we were burnt out. We were very burnt out. We were tired. We were both dealing with a lot of mental health issues in our home life, trying to decide if this was the right thing to do. We were a little bit tired, just tired. It's a lot of work, and I think it's amazing. I think that the small businesses in Halifax or any other city really do make up the fabric and the best parts of a city. But I don't want to dissuade anyone from doing something like that. However, it's really hard. It's really hard, and it takes a lot of time. And we wanted to try something else, which is really the best and most positive and accurate way to say it. We both wanted to do different things, and we both loved each other enough to make it happen for each other.
I mean, you still live together, so that should
Yeah, we're doing okay.
That's just and then what was the thing you wanted to move on to?
Maybe more reliable paychecks.
So every 2 weeks is gonna come in.
Yeah, I wanted to move on to reliable paychecks.
Yeah. So what did you do then?
I went back to the same business that I was working for. I also did a little bit of reception work at a tattoo shop with some friends of mine. But ultimately, I did go back to the same company where I was visual merchandising before.
And then you continued doing that? Was it like in the same store, or like you'd go to different stores?
So if you got placed in a store, yes, that would be your one store. We would travel to open up other stores, like just to set them up. And I did work at a few of the stores as they opened up. They would send me to the other stores.
Oh. How many stores would you say you worked in this period?
I worked as a solid visual merchandiser in 3 separate stores. And then I probably opened up about 4 or 5 other stores.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All in HR?
No, they would fly us around. We would go to Montreal or different Quebec stores. There were some stores in the other Maritimes, PEI, New Brunswick.
Nice.
Yes.
Did you have to learn and speak French for your work?
No, but I should have. I did work at a store in Moncton for just over a year, and my coworkers didn't really speak a lot of French, but I do believe that I should have learned French to go work in a store in Moncton. It's a heavy French population.
Yep, I agree. Yeah. Every time I go to, it's like, oh, okay. And everything is in French and English there anyway.
Yes. Yeah. Do you like Moncton?
Do I like Moncton? I mean, it's okay. But like I prefer Halifax. Let me put it like that.
Same.
It's okay. It's nice, and I have family there. they have a really nice house. So, it's a good excuse to go there. So to me, Moncton is this person's home.
Right.
It's so like when I go to Moncton, I'm going to that place. So it's like, yes, I want to go to Moncton because they have this really nice house and they really take care of you, and you don't have to like
Yeah,
literally, when it's summer, I want to go there because like for 4 or 5 days I don't do shit. I just
exactly.
lounge and
Yeah.
and I have a
The
really
housing
nice
market in
dog. Yeah.
yeah, the housing market in Moncton and the surrounding areas is like hot. You can get a nice piece of property for not very much money, for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
Unlike
so they're
here.
they're living in luxury. Good for them. Love that.
Halifax is crazy with that. So, you had to live in Moncton for this work?
I Yes, I did. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah,
How was
I
that
lived
for
in
you?
Moncton. Well, I was feeling very positive about it at first. I was ready for a change. There wasn't much holding me in Halifax at that time. I wanted to make more money, and they suggested that I consider going to Moncton. I was all in. I was all for it. Obviously it was pretty sad and difficult to leave my home Halifax. I've always lived here, but I was enthusiastic and I was stoked, and I was just going for it. So when I first got there, it was really awesome. I quite enjoyed it. I loved my work. I loved my new coworkers. Uh, it was awesome. As time went on, I got pretty lonely. Found it difficult to make friends. As a
Would your
36-year-old
friends from
woman,
Halifax visit?
yes, yes, they visited lots, and it was awesome. And we would rip up the town, and it was really soul filling for me. But I was still living in the city very much alone and by myself, and I didn't. It I do feel like I really got better at figuring out how to be alone and be happy and just lay low. But it was still difficult. I came back to visit Halifax quite a bit.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
and then you moved back to Halifax. Why?
Well, in January of 2020, I had been working at the spot for just over a year,
Mm.
and I just, the stress was getting to me. Not being able to see or talk to friends and family was getting to me. There was a lot of things coming into play. The management had switched around at my work, and I had a mental breakdown, to be totally honest and frank. I just couldn't do it anymore. I went into work one day and I just couldn't stop having panic attacks, anxiety attacks, everything. And I had to get out. So I went on short-term disability. I left work sick. And so that's why I quit that job. Now I did stay in Moncton for almost a year after that.
Oh, okay. And what were you doing for
After I
that
left
year?
work. Not much. Well, in March 2020, the pandemic hit. So I stayed in my house. I grew a lot of plants, and I actually took that time to kind of get back into my art making. To be totally honest, I'd spent, probably 8 to 10 years not making as much art as I had, not making as much art as I would have liked to. So I made a lot of art for that year in Moncton in my apartment. Yeah.
How was it like rediscovering art again? Because, it had not been a part of your life for a very long time.
It was hard. I had a lot of judgment built up within me, especially relating to how good or how bad I thought the art was that I was making.
Oh.
So, because I wasn't really practicing very much of it when I first started,
Yeah.
I had a lot of judgment cast upon it by myself. There was nobody else there. It was just me, crapping on my artwork.
Mm.
But I kind of, because I had all the time in the world and all the space and no voices cluttering my head, I just kept going, just kept doing it. And I would start off small. I would start off with, tiny pieces of paper, and I would just put a few things on it, or I would paint some colors. And when I say paint some colors, I mean smear around some colors. I mean throw some colors around, and I just ultimately tried to battle those feelings of judgment with kind of like a sense of fun, trying to be a little bit more looser with it, trying to let those judgments go away.
Yeah. How successful were you, though?
Really hard. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious. How successful were you with that?
How successful was I with it? Well, you know what? I started having more fun. And frankly, to me, that's like my, that's my ultimate goal. I make art to have fun. I make art to enjoy myself. I make art to feel proud about myself. I ultimately, I really just tried to let those feelings go and tried to focus on, I was going to say getting better, but I mean more like getting better at enjoying myself while I do it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you mentioned something there, and I think personally, if I'm not enjoying something, God damn, you better be paying me a lot of money to do it.
Yeah, why bother, right? Why bother? Life is too short, And I mean, and that goes into the same thing as, my visual merchant job. As much as I enjoyed the work, I enjoyed my coworkers. There was something about it that was just chipping away at me. The stress of going into work every day, and I'm like, and that same expression, I didn't feel like I was getting paid enough. I was just, it's not worth the mental strife. It's not worth it. Yeah. So, yeah, it was difficult to get out of that negative headspace and have it not affect my art. Of course, that's gonna play into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you get back into it, you make art, and then you're making this progress. Like, did you decide, okay, I'm just gonna do this variety concert like right away, or when did that one start?
So, thank you for asking that question. That's a good question. I started variety concerts probably 12 to 15 years ago. No, 10 to 12 years ago. And I did sell at some local shops back then. This was ever before Big Pony was a glimmer in my eye. I sold at a couple local shops, but it really fell by the wayside for those several years, that 10-year gap that I wasn't making a lot of art. So when I got back into it recently, it was actually quite easy to pick up. I'm still making a lot of the same products that I used to make 10 years ago with obviously more updated materials, but I'm still pretty much doing the same thing. I'm branching out a little bit here and there slowly with new products, but it was easy to get back up and going because I already had the blueprint in my mind for it.
And that name, what, does it mean something?
No. Nothing at all. It's whatever you want it to mean.
Right.
Yeah.
How did it come about then? Did you?
The word Verity concert came from that stamp that I found at a secondhand store that was misspelled, misprinted. But I think that kind of lends a bit of a sense of humor to it, which I feel like I carry around in my day-to-day life anyways. I love a tattoo that's misspelled. I get a kick out of that.
Do you know the no regrets tattoo?
Love it. I love it. It cracks me up, and I really, I'd like to think that we shouldn't take we shouldn't take these little things in day-to-day life so seriously. So why not just misspell a couple words? Who cares?
Okay, so what is the process of making this artwork? Like
Um,
is is it a thing, a flow to it?
a little bit. I mean, it's a work of passion. They're mostly, the things that I make are things that I like. There's a lot of collecting involved. I don't like to use the word hoarding. There's a lot of paper
Collecting.
collecting,
Yeah.
old vintage books, vintage writing paper, cool seals and stickers from old packages,
Mm,
you know, um, nice thick writing paper, that tactile nature of all of it. A lot of my time goes into collecting cool things and sourcing them out. And then I think the next part of it is really all in how you put it together and how you display it to make it interesting to someone who maybe isn't into the same stuff that I am.
mm.
I realize I'm an extreme version of a paper lover, but I think that a lot of regular, normal people out there would love to get a package of vintage writing paper with a beautiful design on it that you haven't seen in a while to
Yeah.
write a letter to a friend. That's accessible to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's me kind of taking my massive collection and just tearing it down and focusing on someone who could maybe use it.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's and that's the thing too though. Like because of how different and abstract things you create with variety content, how do you decide, okay, this one is done. This is it. It's finished. It's ready to go.
Well, you just know. You get a
Mm.
feeling, you get a sense of satisfaction, you seal it up, you put a stamp on it, and you send it out. I think it's just a happy place you get to.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a feeling of satisfaction, a deep inner satisfaction. That's how you know.
You're like, okay, I feel good. This is it.
Done. Yeah. And that's not to say that I'm not allowed to go back and revisit something and change it all around and make it completely different. But at
Mm.
that point, you see it, you love it, it's done.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so you make these things and then because of it's tactile, you actually have to send it in the mail.
Mhm.
Um
Mhm.
these days we are used to like things on Instagram, email attachment. Like how
Mhm.
important is it that you want, that people should hold this thing you made?
Well, you know what? I think the proof is in the pudding. When you get something in the mail that's not a bill, and you know, maybe it's
That's
addressed to
not a
you.
bill.
That it's not a bill. And it's an envelope, and you can feel something inside, and your name looks nice. You can tell somebody hand wrote it. You
Mm,
know, does that not make you feel like a special guy that day?
yep.
It makes you feel good. I think it is interesting how my love of mail art has now turned into something that's forcing me to send stuff in the mail to people, and that is half of the fun to me is decorating the envelope to that person who took the time to get a thing. I just think it's just like mutually beneficial. It fuels my creative desire. It makes
Mm,
someone feel good about their day. They're excited to open something. Um,
mm.
it's I I I think that everyone loves getting mail, especially considering the pandemic. I can't visit my friends in Ontario, can't visit
Mhm.
my friends in BC, but I can send them a couple of packages,
Yeah.
and kind of feels like you're there a little bit. It's really
Yeah,
sweet.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, that
yeah.
is very true. And then you like send it out. Let's talk about with do you also like have like is it all online? How people get the purchase stuff from Variety Concert?
Yeah, so I do have an Etsy shop. It's under Verity Concert,
Mm.
VARITYCONCERT. But I also have a dedicated Instagram to it, which, you know, I promise trying very hard to update it and kind of, it's all very new to me. Back in the day, I would just make the product and send them to stores, and they kind of just took care of it.
Mm-hmm.
But now, as things evolve and computers become more modern, I'm trying to evolve with them. And yeah, so I update my Etsy regularly. You can see me on Instagram, and sometimes I post my masks on my personal account, which is Champagne Mummy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, two things. Well, I'll start with Champagne Mommy. What's the story behind that name?
Well, I used to be a massive Drake fan.
Used
Uh,
to.
used to. He's dying off for me a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if I like his attitude. Just saying. Anyway, but
Yeah.
I used to love his music. His Instagram name is Champagne Poppy. So I thought it would be
Oh.
funny if I took a little spin on that. So I'm Champagne Mummy. A lot of my friends call me Mummy or Mum, so it worked.
Are you the the one that always make sure everyone gets home?
Yeah, yeah. So in my party days, I used to be club mom. Yeah, club mom. I was making sure everyone's drinks were safe, making sure nobody was bothering any of my friends. Yeah, everyone
Yeah.
gets home safely, get a poutine in you. Yeah.
Yeah, with just everything happening recently, just with Me Too, all this stuff, it forces you to like sit back and reflect, and and then it just occurred to me, as a guy, identifying and presenting, like I don't have to I don't have to do all these mental gymnastics that you would
Yeah.
do or you would do with your friends when you go out to have a nice time out. Well, when you could go out,
Hmm.
but now you have to make sure your drink is safe, and it's like just the things you have to do. I can't even imagine it. I can't even
Oh
imagine
yeah.
it.
And I mean, I'm only 36, but we've been doing this. We've been doing this for the past 16 years that I've been out, and I'm sure it's not me and my group of friends. It's the only time that you have to be careful out and about. So, um, yeah, it's been like this. I think it's interesting that more people are starting to realize that it's a very real necessity. But
Mm,
yeah, it is a thing. Yeah.
yeah.
So I just like to make sure. Usually, I can kind of. I'm usually the most sober. I shouldn't say that. Most sober acting out of my friends. So
So acting.
like I like to make sure everyone's all right. Just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the mask, right? So, how, I know you mentioned you did soft arts with weaving and sewing and embroidery and stuff. Did you use any of those experience you got from NASCAR in making a mask? How, I mean, yeah, we're in a pandemic and a lot of people are making masks, but yours are, I think it's a design, it's not really the mask, it's the design. How did that come about and why did you decide to start making them?
Well, I mean, decided to start making them just because there was a huge necessity of them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I remember a close friend of mine made my first mask and sent it to me in the mail at the beginning of the pandemic, and I loved it. And then, at the beginning of the pandemic, I was also talking to my mom on the phone a lot. And she is a pro sewer. So believe it or not, I don't make the masks. My
Oh.
mom, this is a mother daughter bonding experiment, pandemic.
Do you have
Uh,
siblings?
no, it's just me.
Oh, it's
Just
just,
me.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. So she was making masks, and she's great at sewing. She usually does clothes, quilts, and stuff like that. But she started making masks, and I'm and she's showing them to me, and I'm talking to my mom, and I'm like, you got to make cooler masks. And she said, these are cool. These masks are very cool. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm gonna buy some fabric. I'm gonna go source some cool things and look around and see, what I can find that I think is cool. So
Yeah.
now actually I pick out all the fabric and the design and whatnot, and my mom sews
Oh.
them because she is just a wizard on the machine. So it's a
Oh.
group effort. It's a duo with the mom.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I like that. I like where people take their strengths and come together to create something awesome like that.
Yeah.
So but like you also sell them on your Etsy store.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I sell them on my excuse me, personal Instagram as well as the Etsy store. Yeah.
On the Champagne Mommy one.
Hmm.
And like it's sent through the mail or deliver
Yeah.
in person.
I usually stick to delivering through the mail just because it's easier for me to coordinate. I can just put them all together and drop them off.
Boom, done.
But
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Hmm.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No. 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 That clearly, yeah, makes sense. It's easier to just rather than jumping here, there, and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And how long do they usually take to get to the person if it's in, say, Halifax?
Oh, a couple days.
Okay. All right.
Just a couple days. Even if it's Ontario, Montreal, I haven't really noticed a lot of slowdowns with the mail. To be totally honest, it seems like everything's running very smoothly on my from my side of things.
Mm,
Even Montreal and Toronto will get their masks in a couple days.
wow.
Yeah.
Huh. So you mentioned mental health a little bit. Well, and I want to come back to that because sometimes in your captions you kind of put those there.
Mm-hmm.
Captions on Instagram. Like, how important is that in you? How important is taking care of your mental health to you? And does your art making play any role in it?
Yes, absolutely. The art plays a role in it. I mean, uh, I think it's also just more important to be upfront, straightforward with people about where you are in your life or how you're feeling or what's affecting you. I know myself and so many other people I know definitely tend to suppress those what we feel are negative emotions in order to come across maybe a little happier. I think a lot of it happens on Instagram, and I think it's natural. And I think, of course, we should be posting our great days. Of course, we should. It's a beautiful day. You want to share it with your friends.
Yeah.
But I also think it's straightforward to let people know that it's not always sunshine and roses. Things get to us. They're compounded even more because we're in a pandemic, and because of a lot of the issues that are popping up around the world, it can be really minimizing and frustrating to figure out what you can do.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes the most important thing is being honest. In January of 2020, I started on an SSRI, for my depression and anxiety, and I kept it pretty quiet just because I didn't really know what to say about it. It was so brand new. I didn't know what it was going to do to me. I didn't know how it was going to affect me. And, this was pre-pandemic. I went out to a party the night that I was prescribed these drugs. Everyone I talked to, because I was honest and straightforward with what had happened to me, everyone it was so much easier for me to work through that shame or judgment about having to take an SSRI when I knew that half of my friends at this place had either been on it or they had experience with something similar. They could give me advice about what was going to happen. They could give me a heads up, and it was I I had just felt so much better at the end of the day, hearing that people were experiencing something similar to me, you know. In that same way, art was a very positive thing for me to focus on, you know. It wasn't drinking, it wasn't staying up late, wasn't eating takeout food. It, you know, all of those things are, you know, understandable if that's what you do to, you know, every person's way of dealing with something is their own way, and there's no right or wrong. But at that time when I was in a really dark place, art really did feel like these small moments of joy or enjoyment that really hit me and felt good, you know. Even just the act of loosening up with things, making bigger pieces of art or making a really, really small piece of art, you know. I was trying new things and it was bringing me, I don't know, it was bringing me out of a dark hole a little bit. It was giving me these small moments of joy in my day that I could really focus on.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing that, because sometimes we might be dealing with things and then we just think it's just us, or until like maybe you see something on social media or a friend shares what they're experiencing, it's like, oh yeah, me too, and you know, just having that like makes it a lot easier to deal with. So
absolutely,
yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I think it's really important.
And then while I'm still on your Instagram, there's a post that like had me laughing for a very long time. It was the one with the taxes too. Do you know that one?
The one with the what?
Taxes.
Are you talking about? Yes, the taxes. Don't get me going. Jeez, yeah, I got a lot of response on that post, and I was shocked.
Yeah, because everyone everyone has that experience.
Going through it. I was filled with rage that day, and I just got on Instagram and I just let it go. You know, trying to do these taxes. I haven't worked for the past year. No EI, no CERB, no nothing for a year. And then I have to fill out these taxes and tell all of the government all of this crappy information about my past year and how many freaking doctors I've been to try to figure this shit out on zero money. And something was in me and I had to let it out. And people really responded to it, you know. I had some awesome conversations with people that I knew very well or didn't know very well at all. We're all going through it. We are all going through it.
Oh man, it's always fun chatting with you, Lindsay. I'm gonna let you go, but I need to ask this because again, your hair is blue today. Also,
yeah,
like you have a lot of photos with your hair in other colors, but blue tends to be the predominant one.
Yeah.
Why? What's the story with the blue hair?
Well, I mean, I am an Aquarius, so that made sense to have blue hair. But, you know, if I'm going to be honest with you, there is this really cool DJ and model that I follow on Instagram. She always wears awesome outfits. She had blue hair. I said, oh, I got to get blue hair. I think this is going to be the new me. Anyways, that was about 3 years ago now.
Wow.
I've had blue hair ever since. I tell everyone I'm a natural blue head now. I my mom this way. I don't know if it's ever going to go away. I'm going to be that 75-year-old woman with the weird blue hair. Yeah, I love it.
Oh my God, Lindsay. Okay, fine. Thank you so much for coming to the sanctuary and for sharing as much as you did. I think we should chat again because, like, I really want to, learn how to do the mail paper art thing.
Oh, it's fun. You would love it.
I'll take your word
Open up
for
that
it.
creativity. Yeah, they're going to be fun.
All right. Thank you so much, Lindsay.
Thank you, Israel. It was really nice seeing you.